If only you guys get to see all the bloopers, all the funny stuff that would just fly out my mouth. That I have to re-record what I'm doing, you would be dying of laughter. But anyways, all fun aside, let's go through Psalm 39. What is the measure of my days? I'll be reading from the NLT translation today because I think it offers simpler language than the ESV that I usually read from. So let's go through it. I said to myself, I will watch what I do and not sin in what I say. I will hold my tongue when the ungodly are around me. But as I stood there in silence, not even speaking of good things, the turmoil within me grew worse. The more I thought about it, the hotter I got, igniting a fire of words. Lord, remind me how brief my life on earth will be. Remind me that my days are numbered, how fleeting my life is. You have made my life no longer than the width of my hand. My entire lifetime is just a moment to you at best. Each of us is but a breath. We are merely shadows moving, and all our busy rushing ends in nothing. We heap up wealth, not knowing who would spend it. And so, Lord, where do I put my hope? My only hope is in you. Rescue me from my rebellion. Do not let the fools mock me. I am silent before you. I won't say a word, for my punishment is from you. But please stop striking me. I'm exhausted by the blows from your hand. When you discipline us for our sins, you consume like a moth what is precious to us. Each of us is but a breath. Hear my prayer, O Lord. Listen to my cries for help. Don't ignore my tears. For I am your guest, a traveler passing through, as my ancestors were before you. Leave me alone so I can smile again, before I am gone and exist no more. So, let's go through section by section. He says, this is tying in a couple of passages from the Bible, New Testament as well. When he says that I will watch my mouth, the Lord has taught us that in fact we should be, in Proverbs, we are taught that we should actually know when to speak and know when to be silent. And he's saying, I will watch what I say, that I may not sin. Because he's sitting around ungodly, and ungodly are probably storing up inside of him, wanting to profess the good from their worldly statements and talk, and profess the heavenly statements there, but inside he's burning. But he knows it might be best to just remain silent. There are times when silence speaks louder than words. And because of how angry that environment might make you, and we know that we have read from even the Psalms that anger only produces evil, that we should not have wrath, and we should rebuke wrath, and we should not be angry, for it produces evil. In a moment like this, silence. Even when you're in it, the ungodly is expecting that you may say something knowing whom you are. Silence sometimes speaks louder than words. But he sits there, not saying a word, not even good things. And that causes anguish and turmoil within him. It's like, I should speak. But the word says, know when to speak. And it's a moment he chose that he discerned he shouldn't speak. But it's difficult to hold your tongue when false stuff is speaking, when untruth is spreading, when there is no substance to what is being said, leading people astray. It is hard to remain silent, right? He says that caused him to now say, Lord, Lord. You know, what shall I do? Should I spend my days remaining silent when the good news should be proclaimed in such a moment? When my days are numbered on earth because I don't even know if tomorrow I'll be alive? To remain silent is causing, inside is getting hot. It's igniting fire. I'm being lit aflame. I don't know if I can keep my mouth. But in that moment, opening your mouth may lead you to sin. And the Lord disciplines us for that. He's saying that the Lord making his lifetime the span of his hand is not much, right? It's not much. In comparison to what eternity is, and in comparison to what a single day is to the Lord, like 1,000 years, our 100 years on earth, or less or more or less, is like nothing. It's like a breath. It's like a wind. It's like a shadow flying by. It means that the kingdom is at hand. We have no time to be fooling around. We have no time to be joking. We have no time to be holding our mouth from speaking the good. We have no time. You know, we could spend our time heaping up wealth, right? But he says, not knowing who will spend it. Ecclesiastes teaches us about this. Solomon, who is believed to have written Ecclesiastes, or taught us about the fact that there's some grievous evil under the sun that he has seen in his day. That a man would work tirelessly, building up wealth, only to not be able to enjoy it, but somebody else does. The next generation does, whom he doesn't know whether or not they're going to blow that money on foolishness or build it further. He says that's a grievous evil. So we don't know whom is going to spend this money that we are heaping up for tomorrow. One could die and then somebody else spends that money, huh? So therefore, do we put hope in the things that will pass away, money that we may lose? Do we put hope in the item that I can have, which is replaceable? Do I put hope in the position, the power, the things where I could lose? Or do I put hope? He says, where do I put hope? You recognize the only place to put hope is in God, in Jesus. For he holds everything in his hand. David says, rescue me from my rebellion. Rescue me, in other terms, from my transgression, which the ESV would speak about. He says, rescue me from my sin, from my fall away, from my falling back, that not only do people don't mock me for saying, look at you who say you're a righteous man, look at you who say you're a whatever, but yet you are no different. Let me not be mocked, Lord. You know I fall short, but rescue me also from it, that I may not be mocked. Do not let fools mock me. He says he's silent before the Lord because punishment comes from him. Discipline comes from the Lord for sin. He disciplines us for sin. And this is why he's just. He's a just God. So he disciplines us for sin. And he says, please stop striking me. Lord, you see, the Lord uses, in the Bibles, oftentimes a rod is considered a disciplining, a rod of discipline is, do not spare the child the rod. A rod is considered like a disciplining tool in a sense. Or in a farming sense, the Lord, he talks about the threshing of the wheat, from the farmland. This is a disciplining act, but the Lord only disciplines us until the weeds are removed, the bad things are removed, and then the disciplining stops, the striking stops. So he says, rescue me from my rebellion. A part of that rescuing is the disciplining of the Lord, the punishment of the Lord, in a sense. Punishment is a bad term, but a disciplining of the Lord for your sin. So you may be going through what seemed like a difficult time. Sometimes we don't recognize it because of the result of our sin. Or we may be going through what seems like you start to recognize there's something to learn. That's usually a disciplining act from the Lord, because not only does he do it to just do it, he does it with always a good end. For you to learn something and grow in wisdom. And so he says, I am exhausted, Lord. Okay, Lord, lift this discipline off of me now. Stop striking me, Lord, because I can't take this discipline anymore. I am sorry for what I have done. Lord, rescue me. Let me not fall away and the mockers mock me. I'm exhausted from your blowing hand when you're disciplining us. He says, you consume like a moth what is precious to us. He says, and I think the ESV offers a better terminology for this part, because the ESV, I believe, mentions essentially that the Lord disciplines us sometimes by taking what we like the most, probably for a moment, taking away from us what we kind of like the most. Let's go to the ESV to get the actual translation of what it says, because I think in the ESV, this is where it offers a better terminology there. Verse 11 in ESV, let's go for a moment here. Oh, what did I do? 1 second, sorry. So the ESV in verse 11 says, you discipline a man with a rebuke for sin. You consume like a moth what is dear to him. Okay, there we go. So what is dear to him? Surely all mankind is a mere breath. So the Lord may take what is dear to us as a discipline. Is that discipline? Knowing that he is a good God, I believe he does it for a moment, just like the disciplining is only for a moment. For the Lord, as I said before, is that he's slow to anger, but then his anger only lasts for a moment. It's temporary. So that's the case. He says, Lord, hear my prayer. I can't take this anymore. Listen to my cry. Don't ignore my tears. I am just a servant. I am just a traveler. I'm just I'm coming before you like my ancestors who were in the wilderness that needs to run to the Lord many times. He says, I am there, just like them. Hear my cry. You heard their cry. Eventually, even if it took 40 years for you to respond, Lord, you heard your cry. Hear my cry. Don't ignore me. But here's the interesting part. 13, verse 13 at the end. Leave me alone so I can smile again before I am gone and exist no more. Wow. Okay. Let's go to the ESV and look at what that says. Look away from me. So leave me alone. He's like, Lord, sometimes the Lord turns his face away from us and he may seem distant. He's still there, for he won't forsake his saint. He feels distant because how then do you get to smile again? When you run to the Lord, take refuge in him, and you feel like he's present again, you can smile again. But he says, leave, go away from me, Lord, that I can actually Feel your distance to be able to run to you, is what he's saying. He says, before I depart, he says that I may smile again before I depart and I'm no more. You know what he's saying? Before I give up hope in you, Lord, hear my cry. Before I lose my faith, hear my cry, Lord, that I may have apostasy and run away from my faith. Run away from my hope in you. And apostasy, in that sense, means that there would be no more sacrifice. There is no more sacrifice for running away from the only hope that is there. What is it going to run to? Back to the heaping of money? Back to the things, the position? Back to your position? That all dies and goes away. When he says, what do I look for hope in? It's only you, Lord. So he's saying he's okay. Lord, I'm okay for a moment to not feel your presence, for I deserve that. But do it so that I may come back feeling like you're gone, so I may run back to you, Lord. What kind of faith can David have to feel, to know that even if the distant from the Lord, that the Lord turns his face from him, that when he runs back, the Lord would be there? Faith in the fact that the Lord will not forsake him. He rather, that brief moment of the Lord turning his face away, instead of knowing that that may cause him to be no more. No more. Wither away in his sorrows. Wither away from hope and faith. But the important lesson here is that we should not always speak. Silence speaks louder than words sometimes. We shouldn't always speak. And sometimes we should be silent also before the Lord, that we can actually hear him. That we can actually hear him. We should make sure that our hope remains in the Lord. He says, deliver me from my rebellion. Do not let me be rebellious. Deliver me from my transgression. Right? That you can be where you need to be. Run not to the wicked. Speak to the ungodly in a moment when it seems unwise to do so. He's saying, use discernment. Silence often offers discernment in a time. You get to analyze, you get to recognize, you get to see, you get to understand. But he says, run to the Lord. Run to the Lord and ask that he will lift his hand of discipline from you.